In this video, I'm going to teach you one of the most powerful financial principles that I've ever learned. And until you learn this principle, you will never be able to truly be financially free. I don't care what anyone else wants to say. I don't care whatever program or course you've bought. This video is going to contain a universal principle that will allow you to quit your job and live the life that you deserve. Now, the reason why this video is coming about is because I actually mentioned something about this in my WhatsApp group and I got some really good feedback from you guys. And so I decided to kind of make a video explaining this principle further and really helping you all get there. Now, this video is going to be in two parts. Part one is going to be defense, which is the more boring things that I'm sure a lot of you maybe have already heard, but just aren't applying. And then part two is going to be offense, in where I teach you the real juicy things that you want to learn, and probably the reason why most of you clicked onto this video. Without understanding defense, you can't play offense, and vice versa. And so you need to understand and watch this video in its entirety. So right now, all of you in this situation have two incredibly valuable resources that, if you leverage well, can get you into the second situation, which is just an image I've used to represent financial independence or financial freedom. Now, these resources are time and money, okay? And I want you to see these resources like this, okay? Okay, time is, and I'm just going to put in brackets underneath, yeah, incredibly valuable. Okay, probably the most valuable thing ever. And money is what's going to give you the ability to save your life, okay? So you need to think of time as just the most incredible, invaluable thing ever, and money as, in this example, okay, your savior, as in the thing that has the power to save your life. And by that, I mean the thing that has the power to basically set you free from being an employee or a corporate slave if you want to be really mean. Now, this may seem weird, but I promise you, billionaires, millionaires, anyone who is wealthy or rich understands the importance of time. And part of the reason why these people spend abhorrent amounts of money on luxury services isn't even necessarily because of the luxury, but it's because of the fact they value their time. And if you open your eyes and look in the business world, you see there are a lot of products out there that aren't even that great, but save people a lot of time. And so because of that, they are inherently worth a lot of money. So the two, if you think about it, are actually low-key linked, but time is the most important one, okay? Way more than money, but money is also very important. So you have your job, which takes time. Then you have work events, which, if we're being honest, takes time and money. We have friends, which again, if we're being honest, takes time and money. We have family, and don't get me wrong, I love my family, but they do take a lot of time. And then we have the biggest thing, which is weekends for most people. And I'm going to have this as wasted weekends. And if you couldn't tell, there's a strong link between these two ending up in wasting both your time and your money. And I guess on the right, just to help balance this out, we can put things like okay, so this kind of looks a little bit more balanced. And again, just to explain, most of you will do things that end up somewhere in this circle. Your job, which takes time but does make you money. Your family, which takes time and doesn't make you money. Work events, which take both time and usually money as well. Friends, which again, let's be honest, most of the time we see friends outside. It doesn't only just take our time, but also our money, because we're going out to do things and spend money on stuff. And that ties into your weekends, which I know for a lot of people just tend to be doing things that waste time and money. And in the money column, really this depends on the kind of person you are, but I just put retail just to represent, like, you know, buying things that you don't really need. You could just call that retail therapy. And I put luxuries, things like holidays. In fact, I should change that and just put brands under retail. And then I should just leave luxuries to things like holidays and expensive trips and all that stuff. Okay, now whether you like it or not, and I'm not being harsh, I do recognize that you need family and friends and you need to do things that you enjoy in your life. Okay, for most of you, the reason why you're struggling to quit your job and actually break out of this cycle or build anything of a meaning for yourself is because of the fact you either waste too much time, you either waste too much money, or you do both. Okay, and this brings us nicely onto my first principle. Okay, and this first principle looks like this. Okay, now I'm going to elaborate on this. If you just give me a moment. Okay, whether you want to accept it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, this is a universal principle. And that principle is simply the most powerful person in the universe is the person who has mastered the art of saying no. Trying to read behind this microphone and just make sure that you guys can all see it as well. I think you guys can all see that. No, you can't all see that. Okay, no is your first line of defense, and you need to unapologetically learn to get comfortable with telling people no. Okay, and I can explain, bringing it back to our last example up here. Okay, when families, are always calling up your line every evening, every weekend, wanting to see you, wanting to do things, Sister Sandra, Auntie Mabel, this person, that person, this is happening, it's so important. Unapologetically give yourself grace to say no. Okay, I'm not available, I'm busy. Okay, now of course, yes, take time, don't isolate yourself from family, especially those of you that are married and have kids, get a balance, but you need to learn when it's the time to say no. But you also need to learn to strike a healthy balance by saying no. Okay, work events, I'm just going to say it as it is. A lot of work events are an absolute waste of time. Okay, they don't actually add anything to you. And I know there's this stigma that if you don't turn up to work things, you're not really a committed employee and whatever. Who cares? Okay, you're not trying to go for the promotion. You're not trying to become the honored slave in the system. Okay, you are trying to build your own system and build your own life. And so say no. Okay, same thing with friends applies to family. Get a balance. But again, this is an area in which saying no will be huge for your development because it will help you effectively utilize those weekends. And of course, these things, retail, brands, shopping, luxuries, holidays, you better learn how to say no and get good at saying no, simply because it doesn't matter how much you try to reclaim your time by saying no. If all your money just continues to go out on these luxuries on the right, then what's the point? You just saving time to just spend more money anyways. You want to say no as much as possible and in a way that's healthy for you as possible to all of these things or as many of these things, and learn to really strike a balance between how often you indulge in these things. Okay, and so principle 1 is a major key in just becoming a powerful person, and that's learning to unapologetically say no. And so this is in essence defense and the first part of the video that I wanted to cover. And now that I believe you understand this, and I hope that you will take the time to learn and master this, we can now move on to the fun part and the part that I know you've all been waiting for, which is offense. And offense only comes when you take the energy and the money that you've saved from saying no, and you now channel that into aggressively building your life.